What if everything you believed about your life had been decided before you were old enough to question it? What if your home, your career, your relationships, even your fears had all been chosen for you? And the worst part? What if you were completely happy? That is what makes The Truman Show so disturbing. Truman Burbank believes he is living an ordinary life. He has a house, a job, a wife, friends, a neighborhood where everyone seems to know him. Nothing appears unusual, except that none of it is what he thinks it is. His entire town of Seahaven is an enormous television set. Everyone around him is an actor. Every conversation can be scripted. Every day can be controlled. And Truman is the only person who doesn't know. But that's not actually the most terrifying part of the movie. The terrifying part is that Truman has been conditioned to believe that this world is normal. And once you understand that, The Truman Show stops being a movie about a fake reality. It becomes a movie about something much harder to recognize: the reality we accept without questioning. My name is Adi, and welcome to Art Characters. The real question is, how much of your reality is actually yours? Truman's prison doesn't look like a prison. There are no concrete walls around Seahaven. There are no guards standing outside his house. Instead, there is a beautiful neighborhood, friendly people, a comfortable job, and a predictable routine. And that's exactly why it works. Truman doesn't need to be physically forced to stay. He has been given reasons to stay. When he becomes curious about leaving Seahaven, his environment reminds him why he shouldn't.
Finally, I came up with a
The world constantly reinforces the same message. The outside is dangerous. Seahaven is safe. Stay here. And eventually, Truman begins to believe it. His fear of water is especially important. He doesn't simply dislike traveling. His past has taught him that leaving is dangerous. So when he considers escaping, he isn't fighting a wall. He's fighting something much more powerful, a belief inside his own mind. And this is where the movie becomes more disturbing. Because the most effective prison may not be the one that prevents you from leaving. It may be the one that convinces you that leaving isn't worth it. That is Christoph's greatest achievement. Christoph is not simply controlling Truman. He is controlling the environment Truman uses to make decisions. And that distinction matters. Because Christoph doesn't think of himself as a monster. He genuinely believes he has created a better world for Truman. A world without the uncertainty and dangers of ordinary life. He gives Truman security. He gives him routine. He gives him people who appear to love him. But there is a problem. Christoph gives Truman protection by taking away his freedom. And that creates one of the most important questions in the entire movie. When does protection become control? If someone removes every danger from your life, but also removes your ability to choose, are you safer? Or are you simply controlled? Christoph believes he knows what is best for Truman, and that's what makes him more interesting than a traditional villain. He doesn't need Truman to suffer. He needs Truman to remain inside the reality Christoph created. Because as long as Truman accepts the world around him, Christoph doesn't have to physically control him. Truman controls himself. That is where the movie begins to connect with something much bigger than itself. Because none of us chose the world we were born into. Before we were old enough to question anything, we were already learning what was normal. Our families taught us certain values. Our culture taught us certain expectations. Education taught us certain ideas. Friends influenced what we considered acceptable. Media influenced what we considered desirable. And society constantly gives us signals about what a successful life is supposed to look like. This doesn't mean someone is secretly controlling us. It doesn't mean society is a giant Truman Show. The comparison is much simpler. We inherit parts of our reality before we consciously choose them. And sometimes we spend years following assumptions we never stop to examine. If Truman had been raised to believe that Seahaven was the entire world, how would he know another world existed? If you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Art Characters. And let me know in the comments, which character or movie should we analyze in our next video? Your suggestions could decide what we explore next. Now, let's get back to the video. How many things do we believe simply because we have believed them for a long time? How many ambitions are actually ours? How many fears did we choose? How many definitions of success did we create ourselves? And how many were handed to us? This is where the Truman Show starts touching philosophy. Thousands of years before Truman, Plato imagined something remarkably similar in his allegory of the cave. In Plato's story, prisoners are confined inside a cave, watching shadows projected onto a wall. Those shadows become their reality because they have never known anything else. When one prisoner escapes and sees the world outside, the truth is initially difficult to accept. The important idea isn't simply that people can be fooled, it's that people can become comfortable with what they already know. The familiar can feel more convincing than the true. And that brings us to another uncomfortable idea: freedom. Erich Fromm argued that freedom can create its own psychological burden, because freedom isn't simply the ability to choose. Freedom also means responsibility. If someone else decides your life, you can blame them when things go wrong. But once you become responsible for your own choices, that excuse disappears. Truman eventually reaches that point. He starts discovering that his world doesn't make sense. Things happen that shouldn't happen. People behave in ways that expose the machinery behind his reality. And instead of simply accepting another explanation, Truman starts investigating. That curiosity is what begins to break the system. Not intelligence, not physical strength, curiosity. The willingness to ask, what if I'm wrong about the world I know? And eventually, Truman has a choice. He can stay. Inside Seahaven, everything is predictable. He knows the streets, he knows the people, he knows what tomorrow is supposed to look like. Outside, nothing is guaranteed. There is no script, no perfect environment, no one telling him what happens next. And that is the real meaning of his escape. Truman isn't choosing certainty, he's choosing uncertainty. He isn't choosing a perfect life, he's choosing a life that belongs to him. And that is why the final decision matters so much. Because discovering the truth is only the first step. The harder step is accepting what the truth demands from you. Responsibility, risk, uncertainty, freedom. And this is where the movie stops being about Truman. Because our world isn't Seahaven. There is no Kristoff sitting in a control room directing every event in our lives. But our perception can still be influenced. Social media algorithms decide what information reaches us. Advertising constantly tells us what we should want. It means influence is everywhere. The question is whether we recognize it. Because Truman didn't choose the world he was born into. Neither did we. Maybe the real lesson of The Truman Show isn't that we should be afraid of living inside a fake world. Maybe it's that we should occasionally stop and examine the world we've already accepted. The beliefs, the expectations, the fears, the ambitions. the definition of a successful life. Not because all of them are wrong, but because some of them might not actually be ours.
And perhaps freedom begins with something much smaller than escaping. It begins with asking, did I choose this? If you enjoyed this analysis, subscribe to Our Characters for more videos exploring the psychology and philosophy behind the characters and stories we think we already understand.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Yeah.
Click here to watch The Philosophy of Ultron and explore more videos like this on ARC Characters.